Combine them.
We're
Good
live.
morning. It's Friday, and it's in some ways not a super happy Friday with what's
No.
going on in our world. I'm Jill. That's
I'm Deb. And anyway, we're here to talk about all things grief and not just all things grief, things that have to do with death education, with grief education, things that with bereavement education, and also make it current, make
yep,
it so that we can talk about what's going on in the world. Like when we started this, it was
pandemic
COVID.
101. Yep.
Yep, yep, that's what it is. And we do this for several reasons. One, so you don't feel alone. And two, so we can disseminate information quickly about what's going on in the world. So,
And some ways to cope with it, because we don't want anyone feeling like there's all this stuff going on. Now, what do I do? How do I find some hope? How do I still find joy? How do I find a way to laugh in the midst of all of this? And
exactly.
this is that week.
This is that week. And the first thing we're going to talk about is, of course, Hawaii, Lahaina. Lahaina. So
All of Maui.
all of Maui. Maui is, if you've ever gone to Hawaii, you've probably gone to like Dole Plantation. Or if you didn't go there, you did the road to Hana. If you didn't go there, you went to the beaches to see the surfers.
And you
And
definitely went to Lahaina.
yes,
And went to the museums and the painted church.
that's
and
right.
all the things. And Maui honestly holds a very special space in my heart. And I'm
And
very connected to mental health professionals who were there.
yes, yes. And I just thought of something. Where is the airport?
Kahalui, that's on the other side of the
On the
island.
other side. So
Mhm.
most likely everybody's been to Lahaina. And
I don't know anybody who's ever been to Maui who hasn't been to Lahaina.
exactly.
It was the capital for a time for the royal court.
Yes.
There's a stone in the ocean right off right in the harbor, which is the birthing stone. It's the old fort is there, and the banyan
Just
tree.
just beautiful. Yes, the banyan tree. As I was looking things up, people probably don't know what we're talking about, but banyan trees are also known as walking trees. And they interconnect in the roots. And a lot of people was looking up, did this burn? Because this is one of the largest ones. I think there's one either in Georgia or someplace in the United States that is very huge. But here on Maui, there is this giant tree for centuries.
It's 2 city blocks by 1 city block by 1 city block.
That is the root system. So what they found is it is singed on the top part. Quite possibly it will continue to grow and live.
Fingers crossed that there's going to
Fingers
be new life
crossed
after
with
this.
with its interconnectedness. And isn't that what we talk about on this show? It's our interconnectedness.
It is.
That gives us support.
Yes, and I did post something about talking about social support today, because there's some new research out that really makes it clear just how much social support makes the difference between somebody going into a prolonged grief disorder process and those who have PTSD but then turn into post-traumatic growth or post-loss growth. It's that I have social support. I have a network. Whatever that network is, I have that. And that's what gives me the space to get through this. And that social support does include finding people to laugh with and people to cry with and someone who gives you warm snuggles and all kinds of stuff.
It does not have to be just a faith community, it for support. You could have a network of pets,
Yes.
and we already know. And I said this to somebody else with that was needing grief support this week, that there's usually one partner that is sort of more touchy feely than the other. If you need touchy feely and the other person isn't, that's what pets are for.
And
Because
in
when you're petting them, it changes your brain chemistry.
And in fact, that research article was very clear that there's been some research previously that was not as scientific. This was truly scientific research. They used the scientific method. And what they found was those with a spiritual community did as well as those without, as long as there was a social support network. It could include or not include spirituality, but what didn't help was spirituality that said that there was a reason for the loss. And it also said, in categorizing everybody that grievers found to be helpful, supportive, and trustworthy, it wasn't the minister, it wasn't the social worker, wasn't the hospice, wasn't the friends, wasn't the relatives, it was the dog.
That's absolutely true. Yeah.
And we can extrapolate that to cats or to whatever your fur friends are if you have one. But that is because they have the eyes, they have a heartbeat, and they don't tell.
They don't ask a lot of questions.
No, there's no
No.
interviewing. There's no, how was your day? And smiley faces. It's, I'm so glad to see you. Pick me up, put my heartbeat next to yours. Let me look at your eyes.
Yes. Right? Which in turn has you take those deep breaths that Jill and I often talk about, that has you rubbing your heart. If you're not rubbing your heart, your cat might be doing this. Your dog might be just asleep right here. And I'm not saying you should go kidnap a baby, but if you're grieving,
yeah, please don't. And don't tell them we said to.
No. Definitely borrow one. If there is a baby around, it just really, really helps. And that is for men and women.
Especially if you like babies.
Especially if you don't like babies, don't do that. But, we often talk about how to get involved in different things. I am going to tell you, people say, oh, join a church. I would not say that right away. I'd say, if you're new to an area, see what events are around that you can go to that, are meaningful to you. If it's meaningful to you to go stand with 1,000 people at a balloon fest, do it. If it gives you some sort of comfort because you're familiar with it, or it excites you, or whatever the case is, go to a balloon festival. Go to a local fair. All the local fairs are going on. Go to an art museum in that
go where
area.
You feel connected.
Go to a coffee shop.
Your heart. Right.
Read the bulletin boards. We now have a literary cafe in downtown Champaign. Yeah. Do you know, in Indianapolis, about 90 miles away from me, they have a cat cafe.
Oh, those are coming up all over the place. Yes.
Yeah. And all you have to do is sit and pet. Or if it doesn't make you sad, a lot of pet shelters that have cats, they have a giant room with the cats, and you can just hang out there. Just hang out. You don't have to take the cats home.
But you could.
You could, but I'm saying
You don't have to.
you don't have to buy the food. You don't have to do that, but maybe do that 2 times a week.
Mhm.
You
There's
know?
lots of different ways to feel connected, and we want the message to be that when you are facing tough stuff, and particularly grief, and even a mass loss event like we have going on in Hawaii right now, which is touching a lot of people because there are a lot of people who fly to Hawaii and just pick up island magic and they feel connected even if they're not anywhere near Hawaiian, right? When you have that kind of event, it's that connection and that ability to share that loss and to talk about it that makes the difference. Those who lock it down and won't talk about it and won't reach out to even a single pet or person, those are the folks who tend to struggle the most.
A couple different things. Even CNN had it, probably Fox News, other places have where you can donate.
Right.
So let's say you're a private person, you don't want to deal with anybody like that, but you want to do something, do that.
Yep.
You can donate money. Something else I want to say is a person I know, a lot of people were looking for their loved ones yesterday. And because the power is out or they don't have, they barely have any battery on a phone, sometimes they make a video and post it to Facebook. And one person who is a relative to a friend of mine posted, "I'm safe and I'm devastated."
Yep.
And another person posted a video, and I don't know if some of you saw it. I did when Jill was uh, doing things with her mom and stuff, and we had the derechos here, and the roof was demolished at our church.
Yeah.
I was in shock because it's like the rug gets pulled out from under you, and there's tons of things to do at once. You are overwhelmed and you are in shock. And your face looks like it, as mine did.
Yes, it did.
And I I even though my husband and I were handling things and doing everything in the best order we could, first people were looking out for their safety. They were jumping into the ocean.
Mhm.
I saw a picture of the cars that were parked there overnight for probably the hotels or eating establishments or whatever, or the residents. Those cars are gone.
Right.
The telephone service, if
The
you
cell
had
towers.
landlines, gone. A
Cell
lot of
towers are gone too.
cell towers are gone. And then I saw videos of a person who went out in his boat. A bunch of boats came together to rescue people that were in the ocean.
Which was dangerous, by the way, because that ocean is very choppy, because this was
Yes,
caused in large part by a large hurricane well off the coast.
yes.
So the
So
water was hard.
and if any of you have been on any coastal waters, when there is wind, there's these crisscross undertows that just, when they cross, it brings you in. And I don't
And
even
those
want to
people
think
got
about it.
picked up. They were rescued, the Coast
They
Guard and
were
private
rescued.
people. Right. It
So,
was like watching 9/11 when people went out across
yes,
the with their private boats and got people off Manhattan.
yes.
Not as big, but very much the same. So if you've got people that you are connected to, and a lot of us do, who
Mhm,
live there, who've had losses there, and they're coming your way because they are evacuating people off the island.
mhm.
Lots of people are going to other islands. Some people are going mainland. But if you know people who've been through that or who have just been evacuated as tourists and they've been through trauma,
Right.
some of the things not to do, don't interrogate, don't ask questions. I'm glad you're safe. I hate that you went through that. I'm here for you.
Exactly. That is, like Jill said, that is the first thing you do. And don't ask a lot of questions. Just say, I am glad you're here right now.
And
You
then
matter to me.
send the supportive messages. And if you can afford it, send the support. I have a therapist friend who has a cat rescue, and she just put out an urgent message saying, we need people to donate soft carriers because we're flying as many out as we can. And the airlines are
Mhm.
taking them, but they each need their own carrier, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised Amazon can get stuff out, but apparently they can. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's that sort of thing. Find something close to your heart. And if you can afford to donate a buck or two,
Mm-hmm.
I know it would be appreciated.
That also helps you
Yes, it does.
as, reaching out to others when, well, let me start back. When you are grieving, whatever it is, you lose a sense of self. And whatever it is, let's say you lost your job, you've lost a sense of your purpose. Let's say you get kicked out of a church, you lost a sense of purpose. Let's say your spouse died or your partner died, you lose who you are.
And you
One,
lose how you organize your life.
that's right.
It's a
That's
complete
right.
sense of disorganization, and reality shifts, and you don't quite know where it's going.
And when you feel that way and you help someone else, it gives you a reminder of who you are. You are a person that is kind, a person that gives, a person that prays, a person that uh, shows love to others. Any of those small acts help you in your grief.
And they help you reorganize how you're going to do this process.
That's
Yeah.
right.
The
And
other
it
thing
doesn't
that
fix anything. I always I want to be clear.
it
I've
doesn't.
had two new clients this week, and I just, you know what? The things that I say do not fix it. They do not make things go back the way they were. There's no way.
The other thing that article emphasized, I really liked it because it was really working. You can implement this. So many
Mhm.
research articles are not, and it really was research. I don't do, Psych Today
Yeah.
articles. It was research. Was that those who go through grief not emphasizing in their own mind the what it could have been, what if it hadn't happened, what if this weren't the case, those folks get stuck back here, and those
Mm-hmm.
folks stay in the trauma, and they
Mm-hmm.
can't take that breath and go, okay, this majorly sucked, this really hurts, and I'm going to keep going, rather than this sucks, it majorly hurts, and I'm going to curl up and sit in the hurt and be angry about it and not look forward. It's that forward looking process, even though it hurts, and getting the social support to do that, not social support to keep you back. You need the right kind of social support.
Right. People who have to find the reason for you, you know, meaning making should come from either a question, what does this all mean? That comes from the griever, not from outside. And the other part is many theologies teach all different things. And when you try to make it better for someone else, and you say whatever you're going to say, there are so many things. Jill knows. It's like I just want to pass out. I
Bill's
just
literally writing the book about it right now.
oh 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 oh.
Just
So
stop.
oh, when you say those things, I have heard a mother say when when their daughter had a miscarriage and had posted it on social media, the mother said, well, at least you have two good children.
Because that third was expendable.
Someone else says, God needed another child or needed another angel.
God can take your angel. I want mine back.
I want mine back. Exactly.
How many people have said that in their heads and not said it out loud?
Now, if the griever makes peace with themselves and says, what I believe is God needed my child because God needed an angel, that's a whole different story. And that's not yours to argue with.
That's their reorganization, how they
That's
need
right.
to do it. But you don't get to tell them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will say one of the things I'm seeing coming out of Hawaii is that folks who are Native or partially Native Hawaiians or who have long family histories there are now saying part of the problem with this fire was because there was so much water redirected from natural resources to support all the resorts. And what we saw in Puerto Rico after the hurricane was lots of outside investors came in and bought up local properties, and it became less Puerto Rican, and it's gentrifying. Maybe we can use this moment, take a breath, and undo some of what happened before we became a state. And maybe we can make this about making Hawaii Hawaiian again, right? Rebuild Lahaina, but with a look at, yes, it's got a long whaling history, but it's also got a long Royal Hawaiian history and a long Native history going back many centuries. Maybe we can do that. And that is the meaning making.
That's right.
This is a horrible tragedy, and we can find a way to grow from it.
When people say to me, what else can I do? Let's say they're in a situation with health or children or adult children or whatever your situation is. Sometimes it's okay to, I'm going to use pray for a crisis, because with crisis I'm not saying it does, comes opportunity.
Absolutely. That's systems theory 101.
Yes, thank you. And that doesn't mean you're meaning making. That means when you are affected with whatever crisis is happening, you'd say, and this is, I always put this caveat, if it's with a person, you pray for a crisis, but that they don't get dead. You don't want a dead crisis, but you pray for a crisis. In the book of I Ching, okay, which is Chinese divination, there are what's called hexagrams. And there's one that I believe is opportunity over crisis. I think that's what it is. It might be crisis over opportunity. I'm not that learned. But you want a crisis to stir it up, to build anew.
And to make you look at what's what and what's not.
That's right. That's right. And but that doesn't mean you do that for someone else. But when you have no hope and you want to think forward and not backward, you'd say crisis gives way to opportunity.
Crisis lets me relook at all of it and see what needs to go with and what needs to be left behind.
That's absolutely
same with a death loss. What do you take with that from that person, and what things are not necessary in your life anymore? What do you do with it?
You don't do that right away, because just like these people posting, first you're in shock. You're like, this is not the reality I had yesterday.
Right.
And so you, with shock in a person, the first thing you do is keep them warm, right? And warmth can be the metaphor. You want to say, I'm present with you. I hear you. I see you. So
Mhm.
you want that first.
Mhm.
You need warmth with the body when you're in shock. You ever see people shaking and shivering after an accident? They're in shock.
Right.
So that is the first thing. Next, they're and it doesn't go in this order. It can be all at once. There's anger. Why did this happen to me? Why? And then you want to blame in other types of crises, maybe you're blaming a doctor, maybe you're blaming yourself, maybe you're blaming, the post office, whatever. And go back to taking that breath in just to center yourself. Or, I'll tell you, Jill, if someone says to me when I'm in the middle of shock and they go, why don't you just settle down, take a couple deep breaths? Oh, it
No,
never ends well for that other
no, it
person.
sure doesn't. That's when you sit with someone and companion them and don't say a
Yes,
freaking word
not
until
a
you're invited,
word. Right. That's right.
right? That's where when I have new grievers and they are really self-isolating, I will say, pick a friend, one friend, the one who can be quiet. Meet them for coffee at a quiet coffee house or someplace, and then just sit. Just have
That's
them
right.
sit with you
That's right.
and meet them so that if you need to, you can leave because it's hard to tell people to leave your house. But
Mm-hmm.
meet them so that you can have that companioning on your level,
Mm-hmm. Ah,
not the
I know
people who
it's
tell you what to do.
exactly. No, no, no. You need gentle direction,
Right. And
not
it
anything that makes you feel guilty because you can't please them because the other person needs it fixed.
and in a mass loss, whatever is defined by that, with you guys, it was the storms. Why it's the fire. We've had enough fires in California to shake lots of sticks and trees at them. Those survivors need to connect with other survivors. And
Mm-hmm.
then they need to see the community, whatever that social network is, supporting them. But they need to
Mm-hmm.
connect with the other people who've had that same experience. We've got lots of research that says that.
Mm-hmm. When I remember, I sort of was bitchy, I guess, when Daniel, one of the other pastors, and also my friend at our church, he goes, Deb, it's going to be okay. And I said, have you ever been through one? He said, oh, I've been through a few. I live in the tornado alley of Texas. And the first tornado that came through completely destroyed half our house. And then the next time it came through, it completely destroyed our property, but the house was okay. And all of a sudden, he had a lot more street cred with me,
Right.
right? Where there were people when I was saying these things, Daryl and I are in shock. Even other church people, they go, "Oh my gosh, I did not realize how bad this was." And then
Right.
when the donations came in, really we felt even more supported, you
That's that
know,
social support network.
that
People
social
care.
support of
Mhm.
people that cared. And it made all the difference to us.
It does.
We
And it's
didn't
not just
feel
that
alone.
it doesn't make just a difference in terms of paying for the repairs. It makes you know
Right.
people are there and they
That's right.
want to help and they don't have any other way to do it, but they're going to do it that way and they're going to
That's
stand
right.
with you. And then they're going
That's
to
right.
celebrate you with when the things change,
That's
right?
right.
That's
That's
what
right.
they need.
Yep. Yep. Well, I'd like to end on a lighter note, if that's all right. I
Absolutely.
I didn't put it on Humor, Grief, and Grace. I did put it on my page. There was a young woman who died, and before she died, She hired a flash mob. Now, before I say what happened, there was another post. What are the most inappropriate songs for a funeral? One was Here Comes the Bride. Another one was
Pop Goes the Weasel.
Pop Goes the Weasel. Another one was, oh, I had it right here. I was going to read them off. And another one, Bites the Dust.
Yes.
Would be another one. And so I, of course, wrote on that site, I'm going to copy all these ideas and make sure I play them at my funeral.
Right.
So the video was she had hired this flash mob, and they had the funeral at a church in the sanctuary, and there was probably at least 100 people there, as I gathered from the video. And all of a sudden, on comes the speaker, and another one bites the dust, and another one, and another one bites the dust. And individually, 4 different women with different haircuts are starting to dance. And then they get up. And at first, people are like,
what's going on here?
What's going on? And then they got it going. And at the very end, you saw, and they put their hands together, and another one bites the dust, so that the audience was partaking in this. And what a great send off. That woman who died had control of what were going to be the moments in this funeral, right?
Absolutely.
And that brought me such joy, because as Jill said in the very beginning, with grief, there's joy and there's hope that you get back to joy. And then there's grief. And then there's hope you get back to joy. And that's how life swings.
And there's laughter through tears, which is what happened at that funeral.
That is
right?
Absolutely.
Laughter through the tears.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That was like us making everybody at my mom's service learn how to sing the Campfire Law. And everybody had to sing it and do the hand signals. And there was laughter and there were tears, and it was who she was. That's what we want when people are grieving, is to be able to express
exactly
who it was and how we take them with us.
That's right.
And to find the joy again. And to see if the banyan tree will come back. Honestly. Right?
It will come back. I suspect there will be great deals in the future if you want to travel to Hawaii and invest in business. Mm-hmm. So be looking for those. Maybe in 2 years, you're going to want to go back there and help them rebuild.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's been quite a week, my friend. Let's have a good weekend. And we will take some time and take some downtime and do some regeneration. And we'll meet everybody back here next Friday for another edition of the Friday Grief Chat on Humor, Grace, and Grief on Facebook and all the other places and on the podcast. Bye, everybody. Shall we do our stretch them out? Roll them out.
Take your thumb, make sort of a heart shape, push it into your sternum, your chest, and just hold yourself. Let's just breathe in and out together. Breathe in, breathe out, and be well.
Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.